So in this video we are going to learn how to code basic selectors. CSS selectors are used to find or select the HTML elements you want to style. We can divide CSS selectors into 5 categories: simple selectors, combinator selectors, pseudo selectors, pseudo element selectors, and attribute selectors. Today we are going to talk about basic selectors or simple selectors. There are 4 types in basic selectors: the CSS ID selector, the CSS class selector, the CSS universal selector, and the CSS grouping selectors. We will learn about these with the help of an example. So I have written a simple HTML and CSS code, and I have linked the CSS file in my HTML document. So what I have done is I've created a folder named selectors, and in that I have saved my HTML document and CSS document, and one more folder named images, in which there is one image. And then in the HTML document I have included the CSS file with the help of this syntax and the link tag, and I have included the address in the href attribute, and the address is style.css. So I just have to write the name of my CSS file because both the files are in the same folder. So first we will start with the ID and the class selector. So over here the value of the ID that I have given is paragraph 1, and the value of the class selector is paragraph 2. And I have written both the ID and the class in my CSS file, that is paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. So the CSS ID selector uses ID attribute of an HTML element to select a specific element. The ID of an element is unique within a page, so the ID selector is used to select one unique element. To select an element with a specific ID, write a hash character followed by the ID of the element. Similarly, for class selector, the class selector selects HTML elements with a specific class attribute. To select class elements with a specific class, write a period dot character followed by the class name. And over here, after the ID and the class, I have written universal selector and grouping selectors, but right now I have commented out both those selectors. So right now we'll only learn about ID and class selector. So I've given color green for my ID selector and color red for my class selector. So now let's see how this looks on the web page. So it looks like this. Color green is because of the ID selector and color red is because of the class selector. Okay, now let's talk about universal selector. So I'll comment out the ID and class selector. So what universal selector does is, universal selector selects all HTML elements on the page. And it is denoted by a star. So on the web page, on the browser, it is going to look like this. It will shift to the center because in the HTML file, in the CSS file, I have written text align equals to center and color equals to blue. That is why all the text has changed to color blue and the entire document will shift to the center. So that is about the universal selector. Then we have grouping selector. In grouping selector selects all the HTML elements with the same style definitions. And so in the grouping selector we have included heading, H1 tag, paragraph tag and image tag. So in order to see how the grouping selector works, we will comment out the universal selector. So inside the grouping selector, I have written text align, center, color magenta, margin left auto, margin right auto and display block. Don't worry if you do not understand these declarations. We will study about them in detail in further CSS videos. So on the browser this is going to look like this. So now the color has changed to pink or magenta and the text is still in the center because we have written text align equals to center. So that is all about the grouping selector. So I hope now you have understood what is class selector, ID selector, grouping selector and universal selector. Thank you.